Some people leave behind more than memories. They leave a mark on the world. Today on Final Moments, we honor the lives of those who shaped art, culture, and history. If you appreciate these tributes, please like and subscribe. Let's now take a moment to remember them. Number 1. David Sellers' architecture isn't just about design, it's about making. And few embodied that philosophy as fully as David Sellers, the man who believed architects should get their hands dirty. Born in Chicago in 1938, Sellers was a builder, an experimenter, and an innovator. A Yale-trained visionary, Sellers rejected the conventional method of architecture as a paper profession. Instead, he embraced the design-build movement, arguing that the best buildings came from those who constructed them with their own hands. In 1965, Sellers and his classmate William Reinecke set out to redefine architecture. Unable to secure traditional commissions, they found themselves in Vermont on a 425-acre stretch of land they named Prickly Mountain. Here, amidst the ski resorts and rolling hills, they built homes that were anything but ordinary, angular, dynamic, sculptural forms that seemed to defy gravity and convention. Life magazine called Sellers a way out Orpheus and his first house a happening. But it wasn't just about aesthetics. Sellers was deeply committed to sustainability and self-sufficiency. His homes integrated passive solar design, wind energy, and unconventional materials long before these became buzzwords. At the Tack House, a refrigerator jutted through an exterior wall, so it could be turned off in winter, and an inflatable shower could fit 10 people. His philosophy was simple: use what's available and use it well. Beyond his experimental homes, Sellers shaped urban landscapes. In the 1980s, he developed a master plan for Burlington, Vermont, collaborating with then-Mayor Bernie Sanders to envision a more human-centered city. His ideas weren't just radical, they were practical. In his later years, Sellers turned to concrete, designing fireproof, net-zero homes in response to climate change. He didn't do things halfway, recalled Jack Wadsworth, an investment banker who spent summers working alongside him. And he didn't do things that weren't interesting. Number 2, Flo Fox, New York City. Raw, chaotic, and filled with fleeting moments most of us miss. But Flo Fox, she saw everything, even when she was legally blind. Born in 1945, Flo Fox was a force of nature. Diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at 30, she lost the ability to walk. By 1999, she was paralyzed from the neck down, yet she never stopped photographing. "Photography is my existence," she once said. Her style? Candid, ironic, and deeply observational. She captured New York's ironic reality, a term she coined to describe the unpredictable absurdities of urban life. From a mannequin's leg sticking out of a trash can to a girl sucking her thumb while her father smoked in the front seat, her photos revealed layers of humor and truth. By the time multiple sclerosis took away her mobility, she adapted. Instead of giving up, she directed attendants, friends, even strangers on the street, guiding them to frame the shots exactly as she envisioned. Using an autofocus 35mm camera, she would carefully compose the scene in her mind, tell her assistant where to stand and when to press the shutter. "I see the world like there are 2 thick stockings over my eyes, like nets," she once explained. But even through that haze, her sense of irony, humor, and human connection never faded. With an archive of over 180,000 photographs, her images found homes in the Brooklyn Museum, the Smithsonian, and galleries from Paris to Mexico. She was published in Life in New York magazine, featured in books like Women See Women, and in 1981 released her own collection, Asphalt Gardens. "One of my blind students took a photo from his bedroom," she recalled. "I told him, 'There are trees outside your window.' He beamed. He had never known." By 2023, her health had deteriorated further. She was battling lung cancer, completely paralyzed, but still She photographed when she could. She once joked, "You know what I miss most? I can't even flip people off anymore." She passed away on March 2nd, 2025 at the age of 79. Number 3. Kevin Drum. Kevin Drum was never one for theatrics. He didn't shout, he didn't sensationalize, he just did the work. And for 2 decades, that work helped define the early era of political blogging, turning data into dialogue and complex policy into something the public could grasp. Born in Long Beach, California in 1958, Drum's career was in murder in San Francisco's Chinatown. The case seemed open and shut until K.W. Lee started asking questions. Over 5 years, he wrote 120 articles dissecting the prosecution's case, exposing racial bias and police misconduct. His reporting sparked the Free Chol Soo Lee movement, uniting Asian Americans, activists, and students in a landmark fight against systemic injustice. In 1983, a decade after his conviction, Chol Soo Lee walked free. For KW, journalism was about breaking cycles of oppression. He founded the Koreatown Weekly in 1979, the first national English-language Korean-American newspaper, ensuring that stories of the diaspora were told by those who lived them. In 1990, he expanded this mission with the Korea Times English edition, fostering dialogue between Asian and Black communities during the volatile years leading up to the 1992 Los Angeles riots. Julie Ha, journalist and filmmaker, once said, "He was a real champion for the downtrodden. He not only inspired journalists, but people of conscience who wanted to make a positive difference in the world." Recognition followed. The first recipient of the Asian American Journalists Association's Lifetime Achievement Award, the Free Spirit Award from the Freedom Forum, dozens more. But the legacy he valued most wasn't in plaques or headlines. It was in the journalists, activists, and ordinary citizens he inspired to keep fighting for truth. On March 8th, 2025, K.W. Lee passed away at 96. But his work, his spirit, and his relentless pursuit of justice remain very much alive. Number 5. Simon Fisher-Becker. Simon Fisher-Becker's career was built on presence, the kind that filled a room, a screen, or even an entire convention hall. With his deep voice and commanding stature, he brought to life characters who lingered in the minds of audiences long after the credits rolled. Whether it was the spectral warmth of the Fat Friar in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or the enigmatic blue-skinned traitor Dorian Maldivar in Doctor Who, Fisher-Becker had a way of making even the smallest roles unforgettable. Born in London on November 25, 1961, Simon Fisher-Becker's journey into acting began in British theater before expanding into television and film. Comedy and character roles became his specialty, his performances rich with nuance. In Doctor Who, he took Dorian Maldivar, a black market dealer of the far future, and infused him with a blend of charm, menace, and unexpected wisdom. His delivery in A Good Man Goes to War, Demons Run When a Good Man Goes to War, helped define the episode's tone and became one of the series' most quoted lines. But beyond the prosthetics and costumes, Fisher-Becker was a man of remarkable versatility. His screen credits range from classic British sitcoms like One Foot in the Grave to dark dramas such as Afterlife. In Puppy Love, he played Tony Fazzackerly, adding humor and heart to the BBC's offbeat comedy. He also lent his voice to Big Finish audio productions, further cementing his legacy within the Doctor Who expanded universe. A fixture at fan conventions, Fisher-Becker was known not just for his roles, but for his warmth. His ability to engage with audiences, sharing behind-the-scenes anecdotes with theatrical flair, made him a beloved figure among Doctor Who and Harry Potter fans alike. His passing on March 9th, 2025, at age 63, left a void in the entertainment industry. His longtime agent, Kim Barry, reflected on their friendship, recalling the joy of offering him the role of Dorian, a writer, a raconteur, and a very good public speaker. Fisher-Becker was all of these and more. Number 6, Stanley R. Jaffe. Stanley R. Jaffe was a Hollywood strategist who mastered both filmmaking and corporate leadership. Born in 1940 in New Rochelle, New York, he was the son of Columbia Pictures executive Leo Jaffe. Growing up among industry power players, he quickly proved his own acumen. Born in 1940 in New Rochelle, New York, Jaffe had the industry in his blood. His father, Leo Jaffe, was a major executive at Columbia Pictures, and Stanley grew up surrounded by the power brokers of the film business. The lights were turned low, and there they were, at the end of the table, playing gin. He once recalled of his father's meetings with legendary producer Sam Spiegel. At just 29, he became the youngest head of a major Hollywood studio, taking the reins as president of Paramount Pictures in 1969. It was an unprecedented rise, but Jaffe, always a pragmatist, soon left to forge his own path in independent production. His instincts paid off. In 1979, he produced Kramer vs. Kramer, a searing portrait of divorce and fatherhood that won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Standing on the Oscar stage, Jaffe didn't just accept the golden statuette, he acknowledged the weight of legacy. This has always been very important to all of us as a representation of excellence. His partnership with Sherry Lansing in the 1980s produced cultural milestones like Fatal Attraction, a psychological thriller that redefined the genre, and The Accused, which earned Jodie Foster her first Oscar. Yet Jaffe was just as comfortable navigating corporate boardrooms as he was a film set. As CEO of Columbia Pictures and later president of Paramount, he wielded immense power, making decisions that shaped the future of both studios. He passed away in 2025 at the age of 84, leaving behind a legacy of precision, pragmatism, and a deep respect for storytelling.